Do I get a countdown?
No, it's already on.
Oh,
Oh shit.
hello there, people.
All right, so same day actually. Have not uploaded the other video yet, but here we are, finishing off or hopefully finishing off these final Devil May Cry video. We have like 8 minutes.
Definitely. We got like less than 10 minutes left on this.
Yeah, so
Um,
this should be just a sheer fucking straight fire to the finish line.
the last section will be gameplay and then final thoughts following afterwards. So it's going to be a couple minutes of gameplay questions. We'll see. This may or may not go as fast because based on his explanation, he seems to be very, very in favor of the gameplay. And he has made claims that it's the best in the series. So this might go a little bit quicker.
I say
Um,
because Mangler totally agrees with that sentiment.
well, we'll find out what he has to say.
All right, let's go ahead and get started.
Honestly, it's the best fighting engine I've ever played. Hands down. It's probably the best the series will ever get. The combat is so fantastic, so deep, and so intuitive that it almost makes up for the colossal disappointment that is every other aspect of this game.
Hmm.
But it's a fact that I'm worried
Yeah,
will
he's
fly
praising it a
past
lot.
all of those first-time players. Because after spending hours in Bloody Palace on the Void, I
Okay,
realized
so I stopped at around 36-46,
Okay,
where
there
he's
you
like, you
go.
never have to get good to beat the game, along with some other things.
All right, hang on. Let me go ahead and push a bit forward because I'm at 36:30. I think your video is playing a little faster than mine for some reason.
just how
Wait,
badly
what?
the actual
I'm at 36:30 right now, so I'm gonna play it a bit further.
Okay.
game sets you up for failure. With the lower difficulty and constant character switching, you never get good at anyone's fighting engines. And what's worse is that with a piggy bank full of gold orbs, you never have to get good to beat the game.
All right, so now we're at now he finally said it. Okay, so he gave a couple of reasons for it. So let's start off with the first one. That was so he keeps bringing up the gold orbs.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, as Mangler's pointed, well, you guys haven't watched that video yet. Well, you're not gonna watch this one either by the time that video comes out. All right. Yeah. So it's always weird fucking doing these videos when they're not fucking live. Oh, get the fuck out of here. Yeah. No. So
So,
you really don't fucking need. I mean, the gold orbs thing is always kind of fucking weird because, well, as Mangler pointed out, you don't fucking get it until fucking
well,
way later.
okay, so it depends on repeated playthroughs. This is very different because again, if you're playing the game through a second time, you probably like it a lot and are playing it frequently. And when you log in every day, you get one gold orb. But on repeated playthroughs, you don't just get to go back and pick up repeated gold orbs. And even if you did, there are like maybe four in the entire game. So besides that, if you're playing through the game, you're replaying through the game, you're most likely going to be spending points on your weapons and abilities because you will not have all your abilities and weapons for every character, which means because this isn't like the Proud Souls system of DMC4. I do like to mention that if that were true, then his statement would be considerably more valid because if I could just dump all my points into Nero, right, and then I switch to V, dump all my points into V, and then when Dante comes around, I just upgrade all my styles, I'd be fine. Yeah, but that's actually what happened for millions of people who played this game because they thought it was going to be similar to the Proud Souls system, but with red orbs. They didn't realize that when they got there, oh, I actually have a limited amount of red orbs, especially since most of them played the demo and had 100,000 red orbs to begin with, which made grinding way more difficult because it's like, oh, crap, they're not just interchangeable, right?
Personally, I did like the Proud Soul system. I thought it was a good idea.
Um, I didn't like it because I didn't like an alternative resource outside of red orbs. I'd rather just pay with red orbs for everything. I like the idea that you could like buy items for Nero, and then like still be able to use those abilities later to buy for like Dante, right? Like if you if you had a set amount of red orbs that you got from a game, you could put them in to buy an item, and then you could take them out to not buy that item, or so on and so forth. And then if you bought that, or you took it out for Nero, you could use it to pay for Dante, and you had the same total amount between the two of them.
Yeah.
I like that idea. I just didn't like it was tied to an alternate resource. Some people have some criticisms of it, but I didn't mind it too much. However, the gold orb system, as I said, is just... It's not fair to suggest you can just run through the entire game on the first playthrough, because, again, you don't just get gold orbs for free all the time. You have to play on missions that involve other players, and they have to friend you. Yeah, some people do, but a lot of people just don't.
I'm sorry, Mangler, if you had no friends.
No, even then, I mean, even though there are plenty of missions where you get them wrong,
he says you don't have to get good at the game in order to beat it, which is...
I mean, I hope he realizes that if you don't have Xbox Live Gold or PlayStation Plus, you literally can't be friended by anybody. Or no, you can't be. You can't be approved as stylish, so you don't get gold orbs outside of the one per day.
Actually, you can. You just can't play with people like online at the same time. But like, what'll happen is it'll save your progress, like your run through, and they'll pop up for other people in the future.
I mean, as far as like, are you talking as far as clone data?
Yeah, clone data. They can approve your clone data.
Yeah, but that takes like time though. Like,
we're not going to talk about that.
No, I'm saying like in one like session to another, you're not getting that if you don't have a membership. You're only really getting the one for that day, and then you could spend, I don't know, 5 or 6 hours getting your ass beat by Urizen, and well, that could be a little bit demoralizing. Kind of suck.
Well, I mean, you do kind of suck if you lose hours and hours on end to Urizen.
Well, what about hours and hours on end to like Mission 18, Mission 19, and Mission 20? Because I know a ton of people and I mean a lot of like better players in the game, thought they were doing well because they weren't using gold orbs for most of the game. They got to Virgil and they were like, oh.
So this is where all the gold orbs go.
So this is where easy mode is now selectable. Because they're like, yeah, no, DMC3 Virgil is definitely harder, but it's still a Virgil fight. Like, like even Virgil's bad fights are like statistically going to be way higher than any of the other boss fights in terms of difficulty, because that's just how powerful Virgil is.
Yeah, well, like how much fucking bullshit they put in this fucking kit.
Alright, so what else does he say?
Alright, let's continue forward.
The only people who are...
Well, no, I think he said something before that I missed.
I mean, I was looking through it and I didn't see anything like directly beforehand.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, so after 3603 or 3606, where he mentions the gameplay, the best fighting engine he's ever played, hands down.
Oh yeah.
The best the series will ever get. Combat is so fantastic, so deep, so intuitive. Well, so it almost makes up across the aspect. TT review. You do realize the gameplay is the focus of the game, right? Like, I don't just mean like every game in general, even though it is.
So many laughs in the background.
I mean, even Sony adheres to this. Their gameplay is just shit. Like, like that's...
I was gonna say, let me tell you right now, dude, Death Stranding was not focusing on gameplay when they made Death Stranding.
I mean, the gameplay aspect was walking. Still gameplay, though.
That's what I have to tell myself.
Well, again, gameplay is a wide margin. As far as this game, again, the gameplay is stylish action and like combos.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when he says it's like the best combat engine I've ever played, then you kind of debunked your entire argument, because combat is the entire focus of this game.
I mean, yeah,
like, then
but
and
the
through.
portion of the video was about fucking the story and shit.
Yeah, but like most of that stuff, as far as an actual game, if we were judging this based on a game review in reality, that doesn't matter at all. Because what makes this game, what makes a video game last, is what the gameplay offers to you, not the story. No, not at all.
Amateur hour, Mangler. Amateur hour.
Again, you could play The Last of Us as much as you want and say it's the best story game. Let's say I sit there and argue that it's the best story, and we can prove that. I can sit here and prove to you The Last of Us is the best story you will ever see. Nothing will ever be better than it. What about its gameplay?
Well, it's perfection.
Okay, like what's the reason for me to pick that game up again? Because we're talking about playing a game, because it's a video game, right? This is not a movie. This is a video game. So I pick it up with a controller and play the game. Okay, you know what else I can do if I want to watch a movie? I can just open up my phone and watch the cutscenes on YouTube. So there's literally no point for me to try and experience it by picking up a controller, if that's the focus of your game, right? Well, that's not how DMC functions. DMC's function has always been on its combat system. That's always been from the get-go. That's literally what defines the entire hack and slash genre, character action genre, spectacle fighter, beat 'em ups, whatever you want to refer to them as. That is what they were collectively focused on. Okay?
Right.
That is their focus as a genre. DMC started that genre, and it defines that genre, and it stands at the top of that genre. So if you're going to tell me that it makes up for the colossal disappointment that it is this game, even if you could prove to me, which you haven't, not even close, even if you could prove to me that the other aspects of this game are as bad as you said they are, this game would still be a 9.5 out of 10 based on the claims you're going to make and the claims that I'm going to make in the gameplay section. Moving on.
Devil May Cry 5 after beating it are series veterans or people who already like fighting games. But if you never seek it out, or no one...
Okay, I gotta be honest with you for a minute. He keeps saying fighting games. This is not a fighting game. I don't think I need to tell anyone this is not a fighting game. I don't think that needs to be said, but just in case, Devil May Cry is not a fucking fighting game.
Yep. Guys, I hate to inform you, it's not a fighting game. It's not. Yeah, we're not. Yeah. Okay.
So I don't think that one had to be fucking said, but all right.
Yeah, there's not much to touch there.
one ever tells you, you'll never know. I can make peace with the fact that Itsuno did not care about telling a good story. Sort of. By which I mean never. But I am here to tell you, if you don't take the time to learn this combat engine, you are wasting your time playing this game. In fact, the only reason to buy this game, I think, is to play through Bloody Palace. In Bloody Palace, there are no gold orbs. And with the insane revolving door of enemies, you are constantly facing new challenges. And
so, I'm pausing at 37:23. Is he not going to mention, because you've seen the video, is he not going to mention Bloody Palace was not at the game at start?
Yeah, no, like, seriously, I mean, I know in the grand scheme of things, I'm not going to be a hypocrite about this with his logic. In the grand scheme of things, it will be out longer with Bloody Palace. But there was a point of time where the game was out, that including with me, with Zim, where we had access to a copy of DMC5 and we couldn't play Bloody Palace. So this argument was completely invalid. If they hadn't added it, that...
Feels bad.
Also, the only reason to buy this game is to play Bloody Palace. I hope you know that Bloody Palace isn't unlocked from the start. Like, you have to beat the game, and you have to go through the atrocious story, as you mentioned. Not that I believe it's atrocious, just using your words. If you don't take the time to learn this combat system, there's no point to play this game. Well, it's a good thing there's also this thing called the Void, right? The other thing that you don't feel the need that people, you don't feel that as though people feel the need to, you don't feel as if people need to play that mode, but you feel they need to play a wave survival mode instead of a mode that fundamentally teaches them how to play the game.
Well, I think the idea here is that for him, the pinnacle of the game is inherently the one that fucking forces a challenge on you by the sound of it.
Oh, because there aren't gold orbs. All right. Well,
no gold orbs and no red orbs, apparently. That's
I mean, even though every 20 stage, there's literally a way to cheese every stage because you know what is coming every single time. I mean, you can also use. Well, I don't want to bring up the super costume argument. I can. I mean, you have to beat DMD for that. But
I'll say,
still.
I mean, I think to be fair, you do have to beat the game quite a bit before you get to the super costume point.
But even then, like V literally glides through Bloody Palace. No one's business until the Urizen boss rush. Nero, you just
Well,
bank.
The Urizen boss rush is super easy with V actually.
Well, for the first fight, not too much. Second fight, it's not too bad. If you fuck up on the standing Urizen, no, Virgil's gonna body you.
Okay, are we talking like fruit Urizen, or are we talking armored?
Yeah, fruit Urizen. If you mess up on him, if you're weak, and then the fresh Virgil mission 19 Virgil comes out to play, you're gonna get trashed. But other than that, like you can just V glides through. He just breezes through it. Dante, again, Sin DT, double Kalina Ann, so much damage. Dr. Faust, nuke the entire area. Let's see, Nero, Ragtime, Exceed, DT in its entirety. Any buffed or non-buffed.
There are many ways to cheese the fucking thing. I don't think anyone here is debating that one. You're just not supposed.
I'm just saying, if he wants to say a true challenge, I mean, like, yeah, if we just ignore like half the Bloody Palace, like everything after Cavalier.
Again, I think we are talking about someone with like a casual fucking level playing the game.
And like anyone on the internet, the need to make a video reviewing it. So I'm just gonna provide my not so casual understanding of it.
I'm just gonna say fucking literally.
What am I supposed to do? Like downgrade my knowledge and be dishonest to the audience?
Oh, man,
that's what I'm here for.
Never. All right, so let's continue with.
I will never apologize for that.
Discovering new ways to play these characters, and when you die, you die. There's actually stakes, and if you find things getting too tough, you can actually replay any level you want for practice. It's so great. It's so satisfying. It's better than the game. Of the three engines, Dante's is clearly the best and always will be. I'm perfectly functional at Dante.
Oh, Mangler, you breathed a little heavy there. Did what he say at 3740 upset you a little bit?
What was that? I'm at 45.
Oh. Wait, you didn't hear how he said that Dante had the best engine and always will have the best engine?
Oh, I was gonna say, he actually says it's better than the actual game. That one got me. I was like, really? Like, better than the actual game, which includes Void Mode? Like...
I'm gonna be honest. I think you're the only one here who's like arguing for the merits of Void Mode.
If you unironically think that Bloody Palace is better than Void Mode, I don't know what to tell you. Like, Infinite Devil Breakers, Infinite Sin DT, and Sin Devil Trigger, all the different values, points of aggression.
In Void Mode, like they don't die. They just keep going.
Actually, you can make it so that they don't die.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. Like they don't die in Void Mode.
They do die in Void Mode. You can turn off their health from what was it? You can give them like infinite health, or you can just scale it to whatever their difficulty, whatever the thing is.
Okay.
Like so if I'm fighting them in Son of Sparta difficulty, for example, I could just turn it off so that their health isn't, so that they don't take damage. So that they do take damage effectively. So they will take just as much damage as an enemy of whatever that distinction is, like a Hellcana, would on Son of Sparta mode. They can die if you want them to. Okay. So you can literally customize them. I mean, Bloody Palace is just, again, scripted controlled waves. Yeah, for a challenge, but like you can also challenge yourself in Void by fighting DMD
you
enemies.
cannot fight bosses in Void.
No. You can also challenge yourself by fighting them in hell. What's it called? Heaven or Hell mode, or Hell and Hell mode, and basically in the same circumstances. If you want to get really crazy with it, you can make it so that they don't take damage, but you still take damage. So you'll still end up getting one shot.
Yeah, sounds all right. Mm. All right, let's continue forward here. Or are you going to comment on the fact that he said Dante was the best engine?
I mean, that just seems like personal preference. I don't think he could substantiate.
All right.
and style switching by myself, but seeing these videos online of other players just fucking annihilating this game, it's given me such an appreciation for what they've created here. Second up is Nero, for the only reason that I think the breaker system isn't as deep as Dante's.
Oh man, it's kind of hilarious. I'm just gonna stop at 37:59. It's kind of hilarious that he says, seeing what these people could do with this game, it is actually kind of crazy. And it shows a video of just Don Gurry just like slapping them with Dr. Faust, and it's like, I hope you realize, like, Don Gurry, I hope this guy doesn't realize that, very ironically, that he thinks, if he thinks Dante is the best, but doesn't seem to understand that, like, most of the Dante players who filleted him in 4 for the glitches that are inertia became, again, some of the biggest crybabies I've ever seen about inertia being pulled out of the game, because they don't fundamentally understand that having a mechanic in the game doesn't have a meaningful inclusion if the developers didn't develop it themselves, because they don't know how to expand and improve on that. Also, that having a mechanic is only as valuable as the utility that the mechanic provides. So in Inertia's case, the ability to control your freedom in the air. And give more control to your aerial moves. So if we simply just improve that quality already, that already decreases the value of inertia as a mechanic. Or a glitch, as you will. Which was already done in DMC5, because Nero has 3 fucking jumps and air taunt, bring your knuckle,
he does talk about
2 perfect cancels, and various delay moves, and charge shots, and shit. Like, he has so many different reasons to not be near an enemy when they're getting hit, or juggled.
Alright, keep in your pants, Mangler.
I'm just saying, like, that example of that Dunguri fridge was probably from a Dunguri that needed to mod the game to actually be good at it in his normal fashion, because he literally spent so much time developing muscle memory for a game that he knew was never going to click on the product the way that he wanted to. I just find that ironic that he would give the example of Dante being the best, when, like, most of the Dante players who were more experienced than him were claiming that that's not true.
I mean, to be fair, I'm sure he's seen other montages, and he is comparing to DMC5 only. So,
Sure.
While those people over there saying, like, oh, it's trash, well, I mean, there's still...
Well, I'm saying between V or Nero's the only one between the two of them that got a buff that was significant. Like Nero got significantly stronger, more than he's ever had. Dante is the only one that you could have argued that could have gotten any sort of nerf. I wouldn't say that. I certainly wouldn't suggest that. But, yeah, I'm not them.
Alright, so let's continue. He's talking about Nero being the second best.
But that's okay. They've essentially retained everything about his moves from Devil May Cry 4, and then added an actual devil trigger with a ton more vertical combat. One of my favorite new moves is Payline. Oh, what a beaut. And how fun is it to launch a fucking rocket arm and then ride it around?
Okay, so he really enjoys Nero for the most part. It seems like that's one of the few things he just genuinely enjoyed. Cause he's just,
Wait, what?
He's just singing Nero's praises right now.
Yeah. I mean, there are 3 characters in the game, so obviously he considers Dante the best. He's going to label Nero as the second.
Stuff you can do in this game, and that's just the entry level. The real moves are freaking credible. V's combat rounds out the bunch and gets points for just straight up trying to be different. You feel cool and collected watching V pace the battleground, which actually the only thing you feel is excruciating pain as you mercilessly mash triangle and box for the entire fight, which actually kind of makes V's fighting suck a lot. But it's still super satisfying somehow. I'm not sure why. I just love floating around with Griffin or appearing in midair above someone for a kill strike. It's really fun to play, but you'll end up basically button mashing the whole time no matter what. It's just kind of how it is.
Yeah, so at least he acknowledges he might suck with V, because I was going to say, even if, like, you're not good at using V summons, just fucking have them auto-fight, and it's way more effective than you might have been button mashing.
I would say that, like, V doesn't have the same kind of depth that Nero and Dante does. He still has some of his own little
no, she isn't the same
setups.
fucking kind of depth. You can't have the same kind of depth if your fucking minions are fucking 3 miles away from you.
I would say, as far as an answer to why he feels so satisfying, Twin, I think I can provide you probably the best example that I think. It's that as far as like his executions and like his animations, I feel like they're a lot more polished than Nero's and Dante's, because Nero's and Dante's don't have like finisher attacks where they like go up to the enemy and taunt them to death as they're beating the shit out of them. Like generally speaking, if Nero or Dante are doing something, like if Nero's beating someone up, he's not really throwing out a line unless he's taunting, or if it's like a super move like Showdown where he's like, it's beginning, ashes to ashes. You know,
he says it's beginning.
he said so when he activates Showdown, he says it's beginning or something of that nature, and then when it's over, he says ashes to ashes.
V?
No, Nero.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've never heard Nero fucking say that.
No, that's what he says when you do Showdown.
Fucking weird.
But Dante sometimes will throw out some other lines, like, oh, when he's throwing out Cerberus, he's like too easy or something, right? Whereas Nero is just, or not Nero, V is just popping out lines one after another. He has custom animations for certain enemies at certain points during the fight. Like the first time he fights a nobody, the very first time, he has a dedicated animation. Which he does this other times when he fights nobodies, but I think it's like the last nobody that he fights in like every section. He will purposefully pick up their eyeball, will walk away, and then will chuck it back at their head.
Yeah,
And
I've seen that one. I don't know if it's like, I don't know if you can set that one up, because I've done it when there are other nobodies in the area. But yeah, I've seen that one.
It seems to consistently have, every time that I've done it, it consistently last nobody. So I know it's guaranteed with that, at least. I don't know what causes it, but it's just to show off. V obviously has like his taunts are the best in the game. I'm gonna be honest. He's also the only character that you can like feasibly taunt during combat because your summons can just attack everybody.
So
and he
do all the work.
Yeah, he can also what's it called? He also has the book lines. So yeah, like everything about V is just presentation. So if you want to answer to why it feels so satisfying to do anything with him, it's because he is all flair. And that's what he's about.
Sounds about right. Let's continue a bit further.
Other than that, I love the menu.
Oh, and in case for anyone who's watching this video, why don't you talk about too much about the gameplay? That's the part of the game where I just talk the least about when it comes to DMC, because I have my opinions on the gameplay, but like Mangler spends way more time in the world of gameplay than I do. So if you guys are wondering why I'm not inputting too much, that's why.
And why I'm not including anywhere near much as I know, because he isn't bringing it up that much.
I always thought it'd be cool to have a version of this in Dante's office, but I guess I'll just split the difference with Nico's sex dungeon motorhome.
Son of a bitch. Wait, where are we at? Where are you at, Mangler?
39:27.
Alright, so
I still
I don't think I have to fucking say this, but in case you guys don't know this, the menu is not Nico's fucking home. It's Nero's home. I don't think Nico lives with them, but I could be wrong there. I think she might.
No. Remember, he still thinks they're screwing. Like, yeah, he does think they're together. I kid you not. Even though Kyrie is literally stated in DMC4 to be his. I mean,
his sister, his girlfriend, all in one.
I'm in his instruction manual.
The best fucking description in fucking DMC.
Friend, their relationship contains components of friend, family, and lover.
Just gonna gloss over it, huh? All right. I'll leave it alone. All right.
Hate Devil Tree.
They're very clearly dating. I don't know if it's blatantly stated in Five's gallery, but if you don't know it at this point, I'm just going to assume you weren't paying attention.
I guess he hates the song Devil Trigger. A little surprise on that one.
It's pretty catchy. Everybody's got their own preference.
Look, can you not hear the video while I'm talking?
I want to play Fortnite, but I don't want to talk over your video with Caitlin. So, recording
much.
All right, man.
But I was surprised that the ancillary.
Are we down into final thoughts?
We're almost there. It's almost done.
I would like to point out that at 39:28, Well, it actually goes on for a couple more seconds. He's going through the gallery descriptions. Dude, how did you miss up so much of this video if you're going through the gallery descriptions? This is where the information and the source material that you miss exists. These are in every game. What?
I'm sorry, man.
Okay, yeah, I just needed to point that out. Sorry.
It's just so long.
New themes and really appreciate the files and bonus content, even though it's all written in Nico's voice. But that about does it.
Yeah, let's find out exactly what your final thoughts are. Come on. I want to see it. Come on. Let's do it.
I'm at 39-32. Take it easy there.
Journey at long last. So, what are my final thoughts on Devil May Cry 5? Devil May Cry 5 is a disaster. The campaign is a total cluster, which gets in the way of how much fun it is to actually play this game. And even so, with everything the game is
Wait,
able
well,
to achieve,
can we stop at 39, 90, 55? He made a bold claim right there.
it's still only half a game. I shouldn't have to choose between a great story and great gameplay.
So half a game, huh?
so wait. Is it barely more completed than DMC4?
I'm pretty sure he would argue, yeah. I'm pretty sure, after watching this video, I'm pretty sure he would argue, yeah.
Oh, man. The recycled levels thing must be sitting really well in his stomach after this. God, I don't even know how to respond to that.
Well, considering he talks about how the fucking actual, how some of the level designs look the same, he probably, like, basically puts it in the same category.
Look, even if the levels were exactly the same, mob fights are different, boss fights are different, there are different cutscenes, the story flows, you get different weapons, so it's not even fair to say it'd be the same, because even if the environment you went to is the same, what you experience in said environment is completely different. Not that that's true, because you didn't bother to source any of that information.
Yeah, no. So
you just kind of pulled up an article that said there are 8 unique levels and didn't bother to give us examples of what those were. So I have no idea.
All right, let's continue forward here.
I'll never be happy with a cooked burger and soggy buns. It just doesn't make any sense.
Cooked burger and soggy buns. I wouldn't have a problem with that. I don't know about you guys, but I would not have a problem with that.
What? Wait, what?
Okay, now, where are you at? Because I'm at 4. I stopped at 40 minutes. Are you reacting?
Yeah, I'm like.
Are you reacting to my statement or something he said?
No, your statement. What the heck? Why would you have a problem? Okay, cooked burger, yeah. Soggy buns. What kind of heresy?
I mean, I don't personally care if my buns are soggy or not, Mangler. I'm here to eat a fucking burger.
You fool.
I remember
this has been related to the video. I was
in Mexico, and there was this fucking burger joint, or this burger stand that we'd go to at night to get tacos and a burger. This guy, the grease that fell off the meat of the burger,
oh yeah, you told me about this.
I told you this one. And you just fucking scoop out of the bread and fucking burger, and I'm just like, that can't be right. That's gotta be a health violation somewhere in the world. It was a pretty good burger, nonetheless.
Moving on.
Especially when there are so many satisfying and well-executed examples in almost every other Devil May Cry game.
Yeah, he is really holding... Oh, hang on.
Almost. But you know what? I'd still rather play Devil May Cry 2 than have to fight Urizen again.
Oh, 40-10, Mangler, 40-10. You hear that? True?
No. I'd rather play DMC2 than fight Urizen again. At least DMC2 knows what... Yeah. At least DMC2 also recognizes that it'll never be the game 5 is. Or literally any other game for that matter. Oh, wait, are you sitting here telling me that you're prepared to fight the infested tank over Fruit Urizen?
Because
no, this guy.
No. I'm assuming just referencing to the game in general. Because you only fight infested tank like 3 times.
Well,
I mean, he becomes a mini boss afterwards.
I mean, granted, I as far as the bosses that I fight in any game, let's be honest, if I'm going to fight anyone, it's going to be almost exclusively Virgil. Because he's the only, like, proper humanoid enemy. And then maybe Kratos in 4 if I had the ability to. That's not to say the other bosses aren't bad. It's just like, again, I enjoy fighting humanoid bosses. That's what I'm about. They aren't badly designed bosses, though. At least not in the same way that 2s are.
Wow.
To say anyone here, as far as like the quality of a boss, would want to pick up DMC2 again. I've seen people say that they would rather play DMC2 Dante than play V.
So they'd rather just play like a dumbed down version of Dante? That's it? I mean, there's nothing really changes there.
I mean, V actually has a little bit of personality. He has unique mechanics. He has an existing combo game. Granted, it's weaker, but like,
Nah, man, none of that matters.
you can't argue that it isn't there.
Alright, let's
There are combo mads with V on the internet. Think about that. There are no combo mads with Dante in DMC2.
There actually is one, you fucking simpleton.
There's one, and it uses the shotgun and some Quicksilver amulet in one room.
It exists, though, Mangler. It is conceivable.
All right, and there's probably like 5 or 6 with V. So
let's go here.
And I have to say again that it feels weird to be the only one saying it. Every reviewer I see can't help but fall over each other to praise this game. And believe me, I get
okay, it feels weird to be the only one saying this, and every reviewer that I see seems to be falling over with praise with this game. Gee, I wonder why.
I wonder if they like the fucking game.
I wonder why you're the only one, or it feels like you're the only one saying this. Well, maybe because 90% of what came out of this video is completely uninformed on the source material. And even if we just condense this entire video into gameplay, which, again, you didn't go into great depth on. I could go onto Codex Entries channel or Foxcage channel for a more, like, moderate perspective on it, somewhere in between a casual and, like, a veteran of the series. And I could get loads of information on combat and the story than you could ever give me in greater detail. And they don't even have to reference specific scenes, and they'll still find better ways to make analogous examples than what you're providing.
All this shit talking. Alright, well, we're almost done, so let's just try and get through it.
this game to happen.
Because, and regarding the reviews, why he's the only one who has this opinion, probably because everyone else just chilled the fucking game, you know? Maybe no one else has the problems you do, because they, either know the lore, or just, can look past it, if there is a problem, which there really isn't. No,
we can't sacrifice standards for height. 4038.
Okay, let me get there.
Happen, and the great hype beast comes for us all. But at some point, you gotta come out of the dark sooner or later, right? Am I saying that if you enjoy this game, you're wrong? No. But we can't sacrifice standards for hype. Or let
Are you right there?
fall victim
Yep.
Well, hang on. I'm going to go before because saying, or let us fall victim.
to our own excitement.
To our own excitement. Alright. Go ahead. You were going to say something?
I'll keep going.
Alright.
There are an incredible number of things that make Devil May Cry 5 a fun game, but there aren't enough to make it a good one. Looking back at my previous videos, I'm surprised at how much I got right, even with Itsuno. Going into DMC5, I didn't trust him because of his praise of the DMC reboot, which I thought sucked a lot. And while that led me to psychoanalyze everything he did afterwards, I realize now that I was actually right, just about the wrong game. DMC5 wasn't his monument to compromise. His development role for the DMC reboot was. If Ruben Langdon is to be believed, in his recent controversial interview, that Itsuno almost quit Capcom over the DMC reboot, then I think it's about time Itsuno took a chance on making something he believed in, which is really all I ever wanted to see him do. Because after all this time, I do honestly believe
41-25.
25?
41-25.
Yeah, I just passed it. He's about to finish off with what he was saying about Itsuno. Hang on.
I would like to point out that Twin Review, that was debunked by Matt Walker. No one has made the claim that Itsuno, I don't know where, that information was made by Ruben and then was superseded by one of his bosses who has the higher authority on the subject and more knowledge in the matter.
Well, this could be a situation of like PR control. Like I mean, or at the very least, you could
True,
argue that was PR
true,
control.
but again, you would have to provide me reason in a video like yours that Insuno doesn't care about DMC5. And I just don't see that, because even if you wanted to say he cared more about the reboot, which I think he cares more about most aspects of the reboot than he does about 5. I do believe that. Problem is, he put those aspects into 5, which means by default, he also likes 5.
Yeah,
So,
no, I think he likes 5 a lot, but I think what he's trying to get at here is that Itsuno didn't really want to make DMC5. He wanted to make DMC2.
I mean,
Well, yeah, you got me to read it too.
except that he didn't make that game, though. And he had the ability to do it anyway. Like,
fair.
again, yeah, no. He had the ability to do so. When people make the claim that, oh, he wanted to make DMC2, yeah, he had the ability to make it, and he chose to make 5.
Alright, we're going to continue a bit forward here because we got to speed it up a little bit.
Make a fun game. Does it mean that I have to like what he's made? No, of course not. But in this case, I'm happy for him. And the Devil May Cry 5 can simply be a difference of opinion and priorities between what I wanted and what he wanted. I will admit, though, that it is super weird to see so much of the DMC reboot in DMC 5, but who am I to know what Itsuno is inspired by or not? Following the Langdon interview, I'm alright with whatever Itsuno wanted to make. As for Matt Walker, following this game has been a long...
Okay, so 42 minutes real fast. So I guess he does not like Matt Walker. Which is kind of weird. I don't think I've ever heard anyone have a bad opinion on Matt Walker. But,
Yeah, no. He just kind of leaves the tweet out there and then just like leads the consequences to people's imaginations as if like we're supposed to get what that means.
As for Matt Walker,
Like, again, he doesn't make any sort of declarative statement, but as far as like, he doesn't understand why the reboot is seen in DMC5. Gee, maybe it's because the reboot actually had some really good ideas that weren't fleshed out, and a lot of people were angry and frustrated with the direction that game had, and that it treated the characters and the source material that it lifted from so poorly, and that it could have done so much better if it really was going to reboot the franchise. And thus, when those elements were brought back in 5 and they were made really, really good, people fucking loved them. It's almost like when you take a good idea, it doesn't really matter where it's from as long as it's executed in a way that the fan base or the demographic that you're portraying it to likes it and enjoys it and finds it useful.
crazy, man.
Crazy, I know.
Alright, so let's continue here.
experience. Not all of our content will be this polarizing. I have a really sweet video I'm making about how Resident Evil 4 would make the perfect movie, but I'm also really lazy and take a really long time to make these videos. But until then, this is a review, and this game deserves a rating. For the first time, we'd like to introduce the legendary twin rating, by which all manner of media shall be judged. Devil May Cry 5 receives 0.666 twins out of 2.
What?
Hmm.
I don't get the joke on the rating here, because like, how can the combat be the best thing ever and you're not even gonna give it a 1? Yeah, whatever.
Until
Yeah.
next time, adios, Garbage Dante. Nice meeting you all. Nos vemos.
Okay, so that video about fucking DMC4 I guess never happened. A little surprised on that one.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no. So that was ultimately his final thoughts. Ultimately, just thought it was he thought it was a garbage game. That its gameplay could not overshadow what he thought were its flaws.
Yet he doesn't bother to go into what are the... Like, I noticed that he doesn't seem to even understand what makes the gameplay good. He just kind of says what he likes about it, but doesn't objectively provide me examples of what made the gameplay better or the best in the series.
I mean, I don't think.
I would agree. It definitely, you can make some compelling arguments that it is, but I'd love to hear some examples of what those are.
I mean, I'm pretty sure it was more just like it feels better. Like I said this too when I was streaming that Dante felt the best he'd felt in years, and so did really everyone else.
Sure. But like, I would like to hear it from the horse's mouth because he's, making the claim.
Yeah. So technically three videos because we have Yeah, we have 2 online right now. There's a third one I have in my database, and this one is going to clock in at just under an hour.
I told you. I told you it would be like 45 minutes, 50 minutes.
Yeah, no.
I predicted the future.
So yeah, at the end of the day, he provided his opinion. Wasn't the strongest opinion out there because he was trying to provide it objectively, but you know he did what he did. So with that said, that'll be it for this video, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you guys for your time as always. Have a nice day, and I'll see you guys on the next stream or video.